Coach DePascale, that's a mental way, turning the hustle into something great. It is not just about the strength you hold, but how the inner grit begins to unfold. This is the prospect podcast ground, where the secrets of the field are finally found. Building the athlete from the bone to the soul, taking the vision and reaching the goal.
All right, welcome to the Prospect Podcast. We're excited to talk some basketball today. I'm with Coach D, as always, and we have a great guest today. We have Coach Chuck Smith. We're going to dive into some hoops today. We're going to talk everything basketball from that standpoint and really dive into everything. He's the founder of SOP Basketball. He's been coaching basketball, obviously played basketball as well. And really he's been a recruiting coordinator at schools, been a community college coaching, and really he's been a teacher for a long time now. And so we're really excited to talk to him and dive into everything from a basketball standpoint. Obviously he's really done a great job in the, I guess, the Wisconsin area, Milwaukee, right?
I would say throughout the Midwest for sure.
Throughout the Midwest, okay. Throughout the Midwest. Diving into the AAU and high school world and coaching and developing athletes. So it's great to have you on the podcast, Coach.
No, thanks for having me, fellas. I really appreciate the opportunity.
If you can, it'd be great if you can dive in kind of your full journey in sports and in basketball, and then we'll roll from there.
Yeah, I'll go all the way back. I think I was about 3 years old when I got my first Fisher Price basketball court, and I experienced, dunking on that court for the first time, and you start dunking so much on the court where it breaks, and my family got to put duct tape on the rim. So experiencing that and watching guys like Michael Jordan and Penny Hardaway on NBA on NBC for the first time, and seeing Kobe Bryant and Shaq. So I think that's where my love for basketball developed, just being a kid, really, really young, and just enjoying the nostalgia of experiencing, basketball for the first time. That led me to, eventually play a couple years in high school, which then led to an opportunity to come out here to Arizona, where I walked on at Mesa Community College for a year, redshirted there, ended up transferring back home to Milwaukee Area Technical College, and tried out there, made the team, had a lot of off-the-court issues going on with myself, my identity, trying to figure out who I was, ended up getting kicked off the team. Stop there. That's kind of why I coach now, to help young people not make the mistakes that I made, right? I get kicked off the team, and I'm going to be honest and transparent, for forging one of my professor's signatures on my progress report because I didn't get my progress report signed, right? So get kicked off the team. Second semester, my grades start to fall off. I got to go to class. I got to go to this credit recovery class to get my grades back up, but it was just a time for me to self-reflect and really figure out what I wanted to do, if I wanted to continue playing basketball. And I had to figure out what I wanted for myself as a 19, 20-year-old young guy. So got my grades back up. Going into that summer, I worked out at a gym. Happened to see a guy that's from Milwaukee, but he was like a graduate assistant at St. Cloud State. And he was like, "Man, Chuck, I think you got a gift. I think you can go play somewhere." So he was like, "I'm going to tell our coach about you. We're going to start recruiting you." So I thought I was about to have an opportunity to go to St. Cloud State in Minnesota, which is a really good D2. But they end up taking a high school senior instead because they wanted a little more youth, which was understandable. The kid played at a high level, so didn't get that opportunity. Boom. Next thing I know, my dad ends up getting sick, and he gets sick to the point where he needed a little more help in his home and stuff like that because he had a couple strokes. So he was losing like mobility a little bit on his left side. So as his oldest son and his oldest child, I kind of stuck around, started going back to school, and I started helping take care of him. And I kind of put like my playing career on the back burner, if that makes sense. So while taking care of him, it got even worse. And I go from being a 1 or 2 hour caretaker to I became power of attorney, right? So at the age of 21, I became power of attorney over my dad, and my playing career was done. So while I'm taking care of him, I'm trying to figure out, okay, now Chuck, what's next? So I was trying to figure that out. I was always good with kids. Kind of was like the big brother in my friend group, kind of like a mentor to a lot of my friends and stuff like that. So I'm like, well, maybe teaching might be something you interested in. And people have always said that, Chuck, you'll make a good teacher one day. So I started thinking about that. And I had a friend that I met while I was out in Arizona. He moved back to Milwaukee, and he started this program with a couple other people called the Center for Urban Teaching. And it's essentially they give internships to young people who have an interest in teaching. So while I was taking care of my dad, I was able to do this internship because it was part-time. And basically I would teach from 8 a.m. till noon. I would teach math and reading to a bunch of middle school kids. And I would try to find a niche within that 4-week period, in that 4-hour block, and see if like teaching was for me. And I end up falling in love with it. So I end up doing really good at the teaching internship. And through this teaching internship, they took 30 students to New York. So I had the opportunity to come out to New York and just explore high performing schools. And we came to New Jersey, right? We went to Newark, and we got to visit St. Benedict's Prep and see some amazing things out there. And while I was out there with the teaching program, I came across a couple of colleagues that were also in this program, and we visited St. Benedict's Prep, and we were like, man, it would be cool if we had something like this in Milwaukee, right? So I just want to make that known, right? I'm talking to this group of colleagues of mine. We visited St. Benedict's Prep, and we talked about what it would be like to start a school or something like that in Milwaukee, all right? Fast forward about 3 years later, this same group of people, I helped start a brand new all-boys high school in Wauwatosa, which is a suburb of Milwaukee, by the name of Kingdom Prep Lutheran High School, which is an all-boys high school here in Milwaukee. And we basically built it based off what we saw at St. Benedict's Prep, right? So I go from being a caretaker and power of attorney for my dad, doing this teaching internship, right? Several years later, I get the opportunity to help start a high school from scratch. And they brought me on to be like the founding varsity basketball coach. So while I'm in this new position as the founding varsity basketball coach, I had to figure out a way to, get traction into the school and to, get the program out there so that kids will be enticed to want to be a part of this. So I was thinking, I'm like, hey, Chuck, the gym is empty. There's nobody in here. Why don't you start training kids, right? Why don't you start getting people in the gym, maybe do some runs and so on and so forth. So I had the idea to start a player development company. And that's where I started in 2000. This was 2018, where I started SOP Basketball. And SOP is an acronym for Skills Over Politics. And the way I came up with that was, I think Milwaukee is a hidden gem, and we're very underrated in the basketball scene, but we've had some amazing guys come from our city, and we just don't get the spotlight like other Midwest cities get, like the Chicagos or the Detroits or even like Gary, Indiana. Like, they have a real basketball culture there. And in Milwaukee, we got the same thing. So I essentially started this player development program to gain traction in the school. So over the course of a summer, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna just train whoever will come to the gym for free, and I end up gaining over 100 clients in one summer that end up coming in and training with me because they like what I did, and I had a heavy emphasis of half court execution. In Milwaukee, we got like a fast paced play. So we like to press a lot. We like to get in you. We like to get up and down, try to score 90 to 100 points in the inner city. But what I realized was when our inner city teams go to our state tournament, we start to lose because these other teams slow the game down, right?
Game changer.
So, yeah, game changer. So, what happens when teams are able to break your press or your run and jump doesn't work? Like, what's next? What's the solution for that? So, I decided I wanted to build my training company around half court execution. So, I would do a bunch of small sided games. I would have a bunch of solutions created for different actions that I think would work when our guys got to the state tournament. But I also did this for college players because within a college game, it's not always a fast-paced game. You might play for a team that only wants to score 50 points. So basically, a lot of guys were so used in our city to they come in the gym, they do a couple drills, and then they get up and down and play 5-on-5. The whole first year where I trained, I did not allow 5-on-5 in my gym. It was 2-on-2, 3-on-3, 4-on-4, half court. How can you be good when the game slows down? And I think a lot of young people and a lot of college players, they fell in love with it because they saw that start to translate once they got to their college and their high school programs or even to the state tournament. So from there, that was 2018. I kept doing that. 2019, my player development company is gaining traction. My high school program is gaining traction. So then 2020, right, COVID hits, the world shuts down. And guys are looking for gyms. They want to keep their game sharp. And there aren't that many gyms that have access, but I have the only gym access in Milwaukee at that time, right? So, and for the simple fact, Kingdom Prep, we didn't shut our school down because we were brand new, right? We were only in year 3 of our existence. So we had all of our young people come into our building, or they had the opportunity to do virtual school, right? So we kept our doors open for our young men. We made sure everything was sanitized and guys were social distancing and so on and so forth. But we wanted to keep our doors open. And a lot of inner city schools canceled their season. We kept our season going because, again, some way, somehow, we got to keep this thing going. We can't, this can't be the end all be all for our school in year 3. So with me having this gym open, there was a YouTuber by the name of Tristan Jazz who wanted to make some content. And he was asking around, are there any open runs? Is there anything happening? And he posted this on Instagram, on Twitter, and a bunch of people start tagging me under his post. And I said, hey, feel free to come by my gym. We can do runs, we can do this, we can do that. And due to the fact that there was a high demand for 5-on-5, I kind of had to loosen up my philosophy a little bit. So I was like, all right, I will allow 5-on-5 for this because there were a bunch of college guys who needed to get up and down. There were a bunch of professional guys that needed to get up and down and so on and so forth. So Tristan Jazz ended up coming by the gym. He participated in one 5-on-5 run with just my high school players. And I invited 1 or 2 college guys. I didn't know he was going to record it. He ends up recording it. He loved the run. He said he loved the run on the video. And next thing I know, the video had 1 million views in a day. Right? So during COVID 2020, This YouTuber comes to my gym. He participates in one 5-on-5 run, and it changes my entire world. I didn't know it, right? So from there, a bunch of people saw it, and I get a call from Jalen Johnson, right? At the time, Jalen Johnson had just finished up at IMG Academy. He moved back, didn't really go well. He was preparing for Duke, and he was like, "Hey, Chuck, we seen the run on YouTube. Is it okay if we come by?" Boom. I said, "Yes, most definitely you can come by." Right? You're Jalen Johnson. You're about to go to Duke.
Right. Yeah.
So,
Like, sure. Why not?
So
yeah.
so he comes by. Next thing I know, one of his friends hits me up and say, "Hey Chuck, I know Jalen's coming by. There are about 5 guys from the University of Wisconsin that want to come by." I'm like, "What? Yeah, they can come by too. Cool." So then my little cousin, her name's Elijah Blockton. She played for Marquette at the time. She's Marquette all-time leading scorer. She was really cool with a bunch of guys that played at Marquette. They asked her, "Hey, can you hit Chuck up to see if we can come by?" So now I got like 5 guys from Wisconsin, 5 guys from Marquette. Then next thing I know, UW Milwaukee hit me up. A couple guys from UW Green Bay hit me up. And now I got this melting pot of a bunch of guys asking, can they come by my gym, right? So then a bunch of professionals ask. So I'm like, okay, how am I going to navigate all of this stuff, and what should I do, or how should I go about it, right? So Rico Hines, he does all of the pro runs at UCLA in Los Angeles during the summer for all of the pros and all of the top college guys. So I kind of just took his blueprint and just tweaked it a little bit. So I was like, all right, I'm going to open my gym up, but I'm only allowing 20 guys in the gym at once. For one, with the social distance and stuff, I couldn't let everybody in. So I had to cap it at 20 people. And due to that, the reason I did that is you got two teams on the court playing, then usually somebody gets next. Well, if you got to sit for 2 games, it kind of makes you have to be competitive, because if you lose, you're sitting for 2 games, your legs might get tired, you might not want to be there, and it's going to force you to like just have competitive games, right? So I capped it at 20 people. It made guys compete, made guys get after it. If you didn't perform well, I didn't invite you back the next week. I end up doing like first team, second team, third team. Like I just created this small, intimate community with top tier talent, and guys just fell in love with it week after week. And before I know it, we end up doing 7 weeks of these SOP runs. And from there, we stopped because the summer was about to come to an end. It was going into the fall. And next thing I know, Jalen Johnson is headed to Duke. These Wisconsin and these Marquette guys, they end up having great seasons. And now I go from getting calls to college players and pros. Now I'm getting calls from agencies. I'm getting calls from their college coaches. So I'm getting calls from Purdue, from Duke, from Illinois, from Jackson State, like from high to low major. I'm also getting calls from agencies from like Clutch, from CAA, and so on and so forth. So this small thing that I had created just to build traction for my high school program so that people want to be a part of this, it ends up taking off and becoming something so much bigger. I didn't even recognize that these guys are coming back to my runs. I'm starting to build relationships with them, and these high-level executives and scouts and agencies, when they see that, they want to talk to me because they see that I have a relationship with these guys. So I don't even know I'm a part of these guys' draft processes. I'm a part of their evaluations now. Like all of this stuff was happening, and I'm like, hey, I'm just trying to create some popularity for my program, right? So that takes off. I end up coaching at Kingdom Prep for 1 more year. And then after that, I resign. And this is around 2023. So after that, I end up getting an opportunity to coach at the collegiate level at Bryan and Stratton College here, which is a top 10, top 15 junior college program year in, year out. So went over there, had an amazing time there. We won 20 games our first year. I was our director of player development. I was also the head coach for, we had a development team there. So I got to like do a lot of my philosophies and so on and so forth. So had great time there. Our second year, we end up winning the most games in school history. We recruited several All-Americans. We finished top 10 in the country. We end up making the first national tournament in school history. And people in Milwaukee and Wisconsin, like, they're starting to take notice and they're starting to see me as like a big voice in our city, a big voice in our state. So the program Team Hero, EYBL, I start building relationships with them because their executive director was also on the coaching staff with me at Bryan and Stratton. And they asked me to come and be an assistant coach with the program back in 2025. So I ended up going to be an assistant coach over there. The head coach at the time was trying to find a Division II job. So he was going to the Final Four and things like that. So he couldn't be the head coach. So I had to step in as head coach. Now, mind you, this team that we had the number 1, the number 2, the number 3, the number 4, the number 5, and the number 7 best players in Wisconsin. So this team was really loaded, and about 3 of the kids were nationally ranked, right, at the 16U level. So we had guys like Dooney Johnson, who is class of 2027. He's going to Gonzaga. Donovan Davis, he just committed to Iowa State. Jack Conan, he just committed to Iowa State. A 6'7" kid by the name of Deuce McDuffie, who has high major offers all over the country. So this group is really loaded, and now they're telling me, hey, you got to be the head coach. So thank God I've been prepared working with pros and high-level talent that I'm able to work with the group like this. So our first 10 games, we end up going 10-0. And, like, we're beating teams. We're beating the breaks off teams. And, like, people are starting to say, like, hey, man, this team can potentially win Peach Jam. So that first 10 games, I do my thing. Head coach comes back. We do start to build more traction. We're doing really, really good. The head coach had to step away because he ended up getting the D2 head job, right? That puts me back in the head coaching seat. We're going into session 4 in Peach Jam, looking to, like, win the whole thing. So during the session 4 of EYBL, we end up going 4-0. We punch our ticket to Peach Jam. Peach Jam is such a special experience and a great environment. When you get there, there are 6 teams placed in your pool, and you got to win 5 games in 5 days, right, to make it to the bracket play of Peach Jam, right, which is the Elite 8. So we end up going 5-0, win those 5 games in 5 days. We do really good. We make it to the Elite 8 of Peach Jam. We play Mocan Elite. We end up beating them. Then we make it to the Final Four, which we were already anticipating on making the championship game. We got kind of big-headed as a coach. I didn't prepare my guys to take it one game at a time. We kind of overlooked the Final Four team that we played, which was the Florida Rebels. They have a really good program, really good teams, and we end up losing to them by 3. So we have a really good Final Four run at Peach Jam 2025. We end up having the number 1 offense in the country. We end up finishing top 3 overall offense throughout the entire country. And people are starting to take notice as me, right, as a really offensive-minded type of guy. So goes really good. Then that leads me to getting this year where I just finished up at DME Academy, Wisconsin, right? They took notice and they brought me on to be the post-grad head coach. So I had the opportunity to coach a lot of fifth-year guys who wanted one more year to get better due to the transfer portal. And, we had a really, really good year. It was unique, though. I had 11 international kids, so I went from coaching all Americans to now I'm coaching kids from all over the world. So it was a really great experience. And then from there, I end up this spring and this summer, I end up getting an opportunity with a Milwaukee Adidas team here, Kevon Looney, who plays for the New Orleans Pelicans. They asked me to come over and help run offense for the entire program and kind of be like an assistant director in a sense. So I've moved over here, and now I'm coaching on the 3SSB Adidas circuit. And we're having a really good year, man. Having the opportunity to coach a kid by the name of Ahmed Nur, who has blown up. He just won NBPA Top 100 Camp MVP, which is a really big deal because you're playing in front of a bunch of NBA executives, every scout in the NBA, and every high major program in the country. And he just won Top 100 Camp, so that's really big for our program. And this kid went from having 3 offers, and he's currently sitting at 33 offers. He was ranked 45 in the country, and now he's ranked top 30 in the country. We got a kid by the name of Christian Cass who came into our program with 1 offer. He's currently sitting at 12, right? So being over here, it just kind of shows me like all my hard work is paying off. And due to all of the relationships I built in 2020, all of these relationships are carrying over into 2026. And it's been amazing, man. So, yeah, I've had the opportunity to start a program from scratch. I've had an opportunity to coach AAU at a high level. I've had the opportunity to coach collegiate basketball, but all of this started with me trying to self-reflect and figure out who I was while being a caretaker for my dad all the way back in 2013.
Yeah, that's a great story. Wow. Let's talk at the beginning. What allowed you to transition to kind of get yourself on the right path? Was it after your father's taking care of him that you're just like, hey, I really need to lock in. Talk about that part of your journey, like what shifted for you, and then how you now kind of relate that story to the kids you coach.
Yeah, so man, that's a really great question. Honestly, I had a bunch of time on my hands, so I would literally like sit in the house with him and make sure he ate. If I had to change him, I would change him. So I'm literally sitting at home, and I got a bunch of time on my hands. So I'm like, let me try to be productive, with my time. So I started to I don't know why I did it. I just started to watch old basketball games, right? I'm watching basketball games on YouTube from like 1998, 1997, 1996. I'm like, I just need to do something to I kind of needed an escape because I'm this young adult and I feel like my life is stopping, right? I'm seeing social media starting to take off. I'm seeing all of my friends partying and enjoying their young adulthood, but here I am, like I feel stuck. So I just started watching a bunch of basketball. I started talking to the guy who introduced me to the internship program, and I'm like, all right, I got to do something, right? So talking to this guy, his name is Costenzio, and he's like, hey Chuck, I think you should keep doing the internship program. You should come around a little more often. We do these immersion trips in Milwaukee where we go visit different schools, and we learn the great things that they do and how they're helping teachers get better. I really think you can. I think you have a shot at being a really good educator. So I'm like, all right, cool. That works for me. So I think I start surrounding myself with community and people that saw greatness in me when I didn't even see it in myself. So I started going around Costenzio, and I start going around to different schools in Milwaukee, and I'm like, man, this is neat, man. Like I could see myself doing this. So I think being exposed to something that might be of interest of me or something that I'm passionate about, I think that really helped me while taking care of my dad. So I started getting involved a little more. I stopped going from touring these schools once. I started asking, hey, can I come in more often? Can I sit in classrooms? Can I watch teachers? I started taking notes. And then Costanzia was like, hey, Chuck, you should do this program every summer as much as you can. So it went from doing one summer of the teaching internship, and that turned to like 3 or 4 summers in a row, right? So I'm taking care of my dad. I'm not working, right? The summer comes, I start doing this teaching internship. And through doing this teaching internship, I started to find my teaching voice. And during these internships, you're working with a lot of like school principals, and school principals are coming around touring um, while they're while I'm doing the internship, and they're coming to my classes and they're seeing me and they start to take notice. And next thing I know, in 2014, I end up getting an opportunity to be a teacher's assistant, right? So I end up being a teacher's assistant. I helped out in K-5 classrooms, first grade classrooms, eighth grade classrooms, just any way I could add value. I just did that, right? So, um, yeah, I think being exposed to what could be possible, surrounding myself with community, led to the teaching internship. The teaching internship led me to being a teacher's assistant from 2014, 2015, 2016. And in that period, I started coaching middle school basketball, right? So while I'm working at the school, they don't have any basketball coaches. So the kids nominated me like, hey, Mr. Smith needs to be our basketball coach, which I didn't really want to do because I'm taking care of my dad. I'm like, I got too much on my plate. But these kids literally insisted that I do it. So now I'm being a teacher's assistant. I'm being a fourth and fifth grade basketball coach, and I move up with this group year by year. And next thing I know, going into the Kingdom Prep stuff in 2017, these are the kids that end up coming to play for me at the high school level. So to answer your question, I think I surrounded myself with mentors. I didn't hide. I still engaged in community. Um, and I'm a believer in Jesus Christ. I believe like God put the right people around me and put me in the right spaces to make sure that I navigate. So how do I relate that to my kids? Well, I always tell them, hey, whatever you do, you need to be a part of something that's bigger than you. And when things aren't looking up, I think you need to find friends or find family to surround yourselves with, because the rain doesn't always last. The sun is gonna shine eventually. So that's kind of how I relay that back to them, and that's kind of what I did in this process while waiting and taking care of my dad.
Absolutely. I think that it's everybody needs moments that you start to figure those things out. Talk about what EYBL is like, getting into that, for people who may not understand what the EYBL is, and how important that is for the basketball players in their recruiting process.
Yeah, so man, EYBL is essentially an AAU circuit sponsored by Nike. And what they try to do is they try to give, and they also have the junior EYBL now, which is for middle school kids, but they try to create like I would say like an NBA model. And they try to give these middle school kids and these high school kids, they try to give them an NBA experience before they get there, right? And you got some of the best players in the country on that circuit. And this is the circuit that a lot of people try to work their way to, and a lot of coaches to try to work their way into to coach because it's so high level. I think it's important for it depends, right? I think if you're on that trajectory, and not just EYBL, I would say Adidas 3 SSB as well. If you're on that track to being a high major guy, being a really good mid major guy, being potentially an NBA kid, I think these are the circuits that you need to play on because due to the transfer portal and limited amount of live period weekends where coaches can come out and evaluate, these coaches are spending their time more at these high level circuits, right? So that's one thing. If you want all eyes on you, this is the circuit that you need to be on. If you want to test your game and see how good you really are, and see if you can beat a kid, a 5-star out or a 4-star out, if you want to try to beat these guys out, I think this is the circuit for you. But I would say if you want to develop or you want a little more rep, you may want to, seek out another opportunity because these circuits are for the best of the best. And coaches are coming to evaluate the best of the best. So it forces you to bring your all. EYBL is so different though because you for the end of the year season tournament Peach Jam, you got to qualify for that, right? So every game is important, and you only play 4 games per circuit, right? So you'll per period. So one weekend you might be in Memphis, the next weekend you might be in Kansas City, the next weekend 2 weekends from there you might be in Vegas, and then you might end up in Houston, right? So it's only 4 circuit game tournaments. So every game, right? Yeah. So it's only you got 12 games to prove yourself, right? So depending on how it goes, if you go 6-6, you may not qualify for a Peach Jam, right? So every game, every possession, it matters. And then also at the
high
17, high stakes. And then at the 17U level, there's a 24-second shot clock. 15 and 16s play with a 30, but I think everybody's going to the 24-second shot clock eventually, right? So you're playing with this 24-second shot clock. So now
things
your
change.
Coaches, your coaches have to think with an NBA mindset. And if you don't watch NBA basketball, you're kind of screwed because it's also a 4-quarter situation. So they're literally not half. So they're literally trying to replicate what the NBA does, and they're trying to bring it down to the grassroots level. So I think for kids that want to play at that level, it just gives them, again, I'm really big on exposure and experience. So it gives them that exposure. It gives them the experience to see man, this is what the NBA can potentially look like.
Right. And in coach, in doing some research, before, we were going to have you on, in looking at that, the setup for what the EYBL is, right? I mean, out of those 4 qualifying tournament weekends, right? 2 of those are, NCAA live periods as well.
Yes, sir.
Now, so on top of the, hey man, these are some different rules we're playing with, right? We already know we only have a certain amount of games and a certain amount of opportunities. Now you add on, oh wait, there's going to be college coaches here now. That's a whole different level of, if you're not that guy, you're going to find out real quick, right, that you're not that guy, right? Because these other people, these other players have been, either in that world or they're under that understanding, or maybe they already have, an offer on the table and now they're just trying to better separate themselves, or, there's a lot that's going into that where your basketball game itself, the actual dribbling, shooting, that stuff's already got to be part, you've already got to have that just to get here. Now it's that mental side of, can you handle it when the spotlight is on or when the pressure is at this level, because it all is going to matter, where your muscle memory and all the actual basketball stuff, that should already be in place because you've done all of the training, you've done all of the workouts before it. This is more of a test of who you are inside your own head, can you play with this guys on this level, right? Like, how do you compete? Are you coming off the bench? Are you starting, right? Like, that stuff is all factored into it. That kind of just dials it up even more. Talk about that a little bit, like as a coach, right, within that world. What is it like to coach guys of that higher talent level where maybe they've never come off the bench before? Maybe they've always been the guy that was the leading scorer, right? Like, how do you get inside their head and kind of coach them up to kind of be at the best, in the best position, or put themselves in the best position?
Yeah. So I'll say, I think, man, I'm addicted to it. Like, I'm not going to lie to you. I think it's like, when I say it's the closest thing to the NBA, it is the closest thing to the NBA, right? So you got these kids who, we're talking about 14, 15, 16, 17-year-olds, right? So on one front, you got kids that are nationally ranked, right? So you may be coaching nationally ranked kids. Now, with your nationally ranked kids, they may not be happy with where they are in the rankings, right? So they may want to rise in the rankings, right? So you got those, and you can't allow them to dip in the rankings either, right? Like, it's kind of like your duty to continue to help everybody rise in your program. But if your kid is rising, somebody else's kid is dropping, right? So not only do I have that mindset, every coach on the circuit has that mindset that I gotta help my kid rise in the rankings, right? So also, you got limited practice time. You're not practicing that much, right? So you got to get creative with how you do certain things. So in hotel rooms, we'll put tape down, and we'll do walkthroughs in conference rooms. And if we need to install new stuff, I will literally hop on Zoom calls, right, with our players throughout the week, and I would literally have to break down film with them, right, with the software we use called Synergy, right, and use Synergy clips to show them exactly what we're going to do, how we're going to do it, and how we're going to go by it, right? So relationships are important. Aside from that, I will also have weekly player development film sessions with guys. So we would sit down and we would watch what they did good, we would watch what they did bad, and we would talk about areas of improvement, right? So that's another front that we had to attack. But you also got your directors, who are kind of like the front office, the GM individuals, who you also have to keep like happy in a sense, because the program directors, they have a vision of, hey, I think this kid should be playing. I think he needs to play more. I think he needs to do this. He needs to do that. And now I'm having film sessions with our directors, showing them, hey, this is why he's playing. This is why he's playing. And to your point, everybody on the team at some point is ranked top 10 in their state, like everybody, right? You got the cream of the crop. And if it's not your state, you can get kids from your neighboring or bordering states. They're the best in their states. So everybody feels like they can start, right? Now, the beautiful part about the group that I had, a lot of these guys grew up playing basketball together, and they liked being around each other. So they were kind of selfless. They didn't even necessarily care about starting. For them, it was more about how can coach, what are the actions that you can put us in so that when we do go in, that we look good and we can play together, right? So for me, my whole philosophy was, okay, what actions, what concepts, what schemes can I put together offensively that shows that we have amazing synergy and chemistry with each other, and what defensive concepts can I string together that shows that we play well together, right? So I did stuff like that, and I would sit down and I would create 2 to 3 plays for all 8 players on our teams that put them in the best positions possible so that they can score. So I think for guys like me that just love basketball and that are basketball purists, and that want to coach at the highest level one day, I think the EYBL is for guys like that, for guys like us, because you got a canvas to just find solutions and add values in so many different ways.
there's no
You're
doubt
on mute,
that
Coach.
the EYBL is it's the top of the top, and it kind of really accelerates your coaching as well, because you have to be at the top of your game at all times when you're working with the top players. Back at, like, at your gym, on like the grassroots level, like from a development level standpoint, like what are you like working on from a progression standpoint for your athletes, and like what are you seeing as some of the things that you're doing that are really helping kids get better?
Yeah, so as I said before, when I first started, I didn't allow 5-on-5. It was just half court
Right.
stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But now, like now, kids don't play enough 5-on-5, right? So like the shift in player development has changed so drastically. Now we're only in the gym working with 2 or 3 kids, and they never really get that full game experience. So I've shifted my philosophy with the times, due to kids not playing 5-on-5. Try to replicate as many like game like situations as possible. And I found like the research is called like CLA, so it stands for constraint led approach. So basically, when I train kids, I throw a bunch of constraints at them, or I put constraints on the environment that we're trying to replicate, right? So what that means is I'll have a kid in the gym, and if they aren't good with their left hand, I'll create like game like situations, and I'll say, hey, you can only use your left hand right now, right? So I'll put different obstacles and roadblocks in their way to try to increase their creativity, because when you don't play enough 5-on-5, your read and react isn't there the way it should be, right? So when we're in the gym working by ourselves or working with 3 or 4 people, we try to do as much live play as possible, if that makes sense. So I'll put a bunch of constraints in their way, and limit what they can do to try to increase their creativity, so that when they get into those 5-on-5 spaces, they know exactly what to do, right? So, like I said, I'll throw different rules in there. Hey, you can only use your left hand. You got to play off 2 feet right now. You can't shoot a contested jumper. If we're doing 3-on-3, 4-on-4, I'll say, hey, you can only score on driving kicks, right? You can open 3. So I'll throw all of these different rules out there, and it forces them to use their creativity to try to score or try to manipulate through these rules. So I think that's kind of what I'm doing now. And it's paying off for a lot of our guys when they go play 5-on-5.
That's interesting. There's so much stuff with like 3v3 and playing a lot of that, and that helps with like their movement and playing with less people in the court and space. But if the 5v5 game obviously helps me where they have to go. Are you, like you talked about, like how you were up, your pace, you had a really good pace when you guys would play, and you're trying to score points, and like what are some of the things that you think are real important in making sure that you can like score lots of points, and from a philosophy standpoint offensively, like how do you try to put the pieces on the court and make them all work from that standpoint?
Yeah, so I'll say this: it starts with me, right? Um, and this is for all coaches, but young coaches, we have to get out of the way. I think a lot of times we approach coaching, right? You guys know, sometimes, especially when we're young, we approach coaching from a dictatorship standpoint and from a my way or the highway approach. But I essentially had to get out of my own way, and I had to give ownership of the offense over to my players, right? Which means allowing them to play through mistakes, which which means we might have to play in transition a lot more and not do as many set plays. If we call a timeout, or if there's a dead ball, that'll be our opportunity to run set plays or to run something for somebody. But other than that, for me, it's been hey, I'm going to give you guys a bunch of concepts to do in transition. I'm going to give you guys concepts to do in the half court. I'm going to give y'all the framework. And once I give you the framework, it's on you to execute. So in our practices, when we would do these 3-on-3, 4-on-4 games, I barely talked. I barely said anything. I would stop practice periodically, and I would ask guys, "Hey, what did you think about this? What can be better within this action?" So like I would basically give them the framework, and I would allow them to find solutions within that framework, and I think it paid off, right? So I think the way we were able to play fast pace and to score a lot of points was, for one, Chuck, you got to get out of the way. You got to stop trying to control everything. Guys are gonna make mistakes. Basketball is messy, and it should be messy, right? Especially at the grassroots level, these guys are still trying to find themselves and find an identity. And anytime that happens, kids are going to make mistakes, going to mess up. They're going to take bad shots. And my job is to pull them to the side and ask questions, and allow them to come to their own convictions that they want to play high-level basketball and they want to be high-level players. And giving them that ownership is essentially what paid off.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that, Coach. I mean, I think a lot of us, especially as younger coaches, right, we want to try and control everything or just keep everything in a certain order and whatnot. And a lot of times, the best learning comes obviously from experience. So you got to let them go through a little bit of that. You got to see how they're going to react when this situation comes up. And basketball is difficult in that retrospect in comparison to, say football, right? Where you literally have a stoppage after every play where you can talk to them in some way, shape, or form. Maybe not to the extent that you would like to, but you can kind of correct things and move forward on the fly. Whereas, basketball is very transitional in that, like, they're out there, they're playing, and sometimes you just got to let it roll, right? Because there's a flow to it, there's a pace to it. All those things kind of have to go in and out. And if they're not learning how to do that and how to kind of fight through and keep going and move on and get to the next phase of it, right? Like, they'll kind of be stuck in the mud. Or if we're constantly trying to stop things and overcoach it and do all that within practice, well, that's not what happens in a real game. So if as close as you can mimic a real game situation within practice, and that doesn't just mean like scrimmaging, right? Like, that's not the best way to go about it. You can break things down individually and get the flow and pace of a game within practice itself. But in order to do that, you got to get out of the way. And I think young coaches and even older coaches, right? You just get so caught up in it sometimes that, hey, this is this is what I'm adding to it. But at the same time, you might think you're adding when really you're taking away and not allowing them to fully develop in that aspect of it. And a lot of college coaches, that's what they want to see. They want to see how those guys react or how they play within those, ups and downs of a game situation. I know you mentioned the shot clock, phase of it and going into it. Some of the parameters within basketball itself, right? Like how does some of that go into it when you're getting guys, whether they're going from middle school to high school or high school to college or even college to the next level, right? Like, how do some of the parameters within the game itself, how do you kind of coach that up? Whether it's, maybe it's a ref that's calling a game really tight, right? So now you got to defend a little different, or, there is you're playing halves and not quarters, right? Like, how does that go into it when you're coaching it up? How do you kind of relay that to your guys on the court in order to put them in the best position?
Yeah, I think it kind of goes back to the constraint-led approach that I was talking about, right? So in practice, I think the way you mimic that is when we do scrimmage, and we do have live segments, you throw situations in there that you're going to face, right? So for me, I would do stuff like, all right, our best player is fouled out. We're in overtime. There's 1 minute left, right? We're down 6. What can we do to try to win this game, right? So that's one thing. Or I would say 3 guys fouled out, right? And our 6th and 7th and 8th man now have to go in and they got to play the whole 4th quarter because 3 people got 4 fouls, right? I'll do stuff like that. So I think the way we do that is we try to create scenarios in practice, right, that mimic these things. And I'm gonna tell you, it frustrates the heck out of kids, right? Because with a lot of high level players, they're the type of people that try to like they want to be able to control their own destiny and feel like they're in control in that. But it shows them like, all right, now you see what I'm dealing with as a coach because you can't you can't dictate the way referees going to ref the game, right? So I think that's one way that uh, I, I coach within those parameters that you talked about. I also think is we got to watch a lot, and I stole a lot of this from football. Like football, you guys love to watch film, right? So we watch a lot of film with our guys from NBA, from college, showing them different scenarios. Maybe the entire bench ran on the court when they weren't supposed to do that, and we talk through that scenario, right? Or we talk through, oh, this player just got a tech. We'll pause it and we'll be like, all right, why do you think he received this tech? What should he have done? What shouldn't he have done? All right, now let's watch the next 3-4 possessions and let's see how this affects the technical foul, right? And sometimes kids see like, oh man, like the other team went on a 10-0 run because he got a tech. Or this happens sometimes, getting that tech fires the whole team up and your team may go on a 12-0 run. And I talk through it and I'll be like, all right, here's a good reason why we get technical fouls, right? And here's where we shouldn't get technical fouls. So I try to still, because I mean, sports, we're still humans and we still have emotions. And like, I think we got to lay out both parameters for kids, because if we tell them, hey, don't get technical fouls, right? They're rebellious by nature, especially being teenagers. It's going, like, at some point you may get a technical foul, right? But we also give them like the standard and the expectations. We show them like, hey, Mike Conley's been in the NBA for almost 20 years now. Mike Conley has the record for never playing the most games and never receiving a technical foul ever, right? So we give our players stats like that, and just we put them in different situations to where they have to explore all of this stuff. And hopefully when we get to the games, that they react in the manner that we hope they react in.
No doubt. It's I love how you talk about like kind of letting the guys play and how they have to figure it out and figure out how to work together and not over coaching it, especially in basketball, because it's so free flowing at times. Like guys that try to make everything perfect all the time end up slowing the kids down a lot, right? And I think that's one of the things that like I've learned that as a youth basketball coach, like when I coach AAU this spring, like I mean, really for the most part, like I just like we don't even need a playbook, man. Like just space, move, know how to know how to call for a screen when you need one, know how to call for a handoff when you need one, and then react off each other, right? And work on that in practice if I'm like cutting and spacing and crashing the boards when there's an opportunity for a rebound and those kind of things, because that's kind of the beauty of the game. And then understanding when you have a matchup, right, and someone
a mismatch,
someone can leverage a matchup, like, okay, this guy's clearly better than the guy who's over than him. Like, we got to figure out how we can create scenarios for that player to get the ball more in this game, because he's going to be able to just destroy this player. So I think that's really important. And then they play much faster, right? Like, then they're not always looking over to you, that's what happens, right? If you overcoach it, they're always looking over to you like, is this right? Is this right? It's like, no, just go play. They don't need to worry about that. And then, if you really need to talk to them, you call timeout. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And and if you needed to slow down or whatever, you call timeout and then just have a conversation, right? So,
Yeah.
really great stuff. But before we let you go, I'd love for you to kind of leave us with some parting words and things that you've seen and things that you've really, maybe as I opened your eyes, things you're working on, stuff like that.
Yeah. So I think for one, it's finding community of people where you can continue to be sharpened, right? Like platforms like this where we can talk and we can discuss coaching and stuff like that, and we can
Yep.
learn from each other. So I think that's one thing. And like I'm a part of this coaching group chat called the Hoop Dialogue. It's like 5 or 6 friends of mine, and we all have the conviction that we want to be a part of the next wave of coaches. That the older coaches pass the baton to us, and we carry that thing, right. And in order for us to do that, I think if you want to coach at a high level and you want to be a part of that next wave of coaches that have those names or the notoriety, you got to start to try to identify trends and forecast trends of what the next playing style will look like, what cycle will come back into this, and so on and so forth. So I think a lot of young coaches should start thinking about that, trying to identify trends. I'm the type of guy, I'll sit and I'll draw up plays on my own, and I'll go over it with people and say, how is this? What do you think of this? So I think, don't be a copycat of who you see. Like Rick Pitino's Rick Pitino, like John Calipari's John Calipari, Dusty May is Dusty May, because that's who they are. And I think as young coaches, sometimes we try to emulate those guys and we never find an identity or carve out a niche for ourselves. So for me, it's been this conceptual offense. So kind of what you were just talking about, right? What actions or what concepts can I give guys that just allow them to play and allow me to get out the way? So I think it's finding that niche for yourself, trying to forecast trends and put yourself around community, but more importantly, back to the identity piece. Who are you, like as a coach? Who are you outside of the lines or outside of the court, right? I think every young coach or every person asks those questions to themselves on a daily, and I think we got to start exploring that stuff a lot more. And when we explore and figure out who we are as people, and as humans, I think that bleeds over into the court, and it allows us to be more confident. And we end up figuring out and finding our coaching voice on the floor as well. I think when we become more confident off the court, we become more confident on the court as coaches and on those sidelines.
Absolutely. No doubt. Very well said, Coach. And it's great having you on. Much continued success. You're doing great things. It's really, it's always interesting seeing how sports continue to evolve, and especially you're working with kids at the highest level, right? So really awesome stuff. Great having you on. It's probably really nice this time of year out in Wisconsin. So
yes, sir.
Yeah. So that's a good thing. So when you get out of the gym, you get to go and enjoy some good weather, right?
Yes, sir.
Not like when it's snowing, you're like, oh,
Man,
I have to
blizzards,
stay in the gym. Nowhere else to go.
Right.
But yeah, it's absolutely awesome. Much continued success, and we look forward to seeing how you continue to improve over the years down the road. So great job, Coach.
No, thank you guys for having me on. I really appreciate it. God bless.
All right.
Appreciate the time, Coach. Enjoy.
All right.
Take care.
That was good. Really good. Interesting.
Crazy story.
Someone that's on the EYBL circuit.
That's top level, bro.
Oh yeah. Like a lot of the pro players have teams.
Right.
It's like OT,
I mean, if you look at
OT7 copied that.
If you look at like the list of the breakdowns, especially for the guys like in the Northeast, right? It's like, Team Carmelo or you know what I mean? Like those guys all kind of have their own name on it.
Some of them have teams, and
it's an interesting world. And for, that level of travel ball, basketball and AAU has always kind of been at that forefront. They've done it a lot longer with that that uber organizational piece to it. You know what I'm saying? Whether it's with Adidas on it or Nike on it, like they've kind of gotten that sponsorship part of it correct. You know what I'm saying? Moving forward, they've kind of been the model for all of the other sports to try and go and get something as close to that as possible. But when you're talking about having like the highest level of talent across the country under one roof, like that's where it's at. You know what I mean? And then throw in, hey, this is an NCAA live period, and now college coaches are going to be watching this. Like, you better be at the top of your game, because this is where it's all coming down to it. You know what I'm saying? That's where they separate, like, are you really this guy or are you not? You know what I mean?
It's also interesting, like how he coaches basketball. It was like how I kind of had to learn very quickly how to evolve my style in coaching basketball. Like,
yeah.
And it's amazing the results. The results is what becomes amazing in it. Like, it's a different generation, and letting them play, just getting like concepts, and when they learn concepts, they can just do it without your interference, and
It's this generation, I think, it's more, you don't tell them what to do, you give them the parameters, and then they have to go and figure it out for themselves, right? And then they'll buy into it, right? Because it's coming from them. They're not being told exactly what to do, right?
Sure.
You're saying kind of, here's what it is, figure it out on your own, and then they feel a certain type of way, like they're empowered because they figured it out. Whereas with us, it was like, hey, go and do this. Like, hey, go.
Everything's the run and shoot offense now.
Yep.
Right.
Find an opening, find open space, and go. Like
that's every in every sport that's kind of come involved. Like, I don't know, I don't know how many you would know better than me, because I'm just not in as much, right? But like, I don't know how many football coaches are adopting that mindset in today's, but to me, I'm just like because I'm seeing the younger kids and how they are more and more, because I'm in it. It just it's starting to scream to me. Like, at first I was very, very super structured, right? Like, because that's how I coach high school, right? So, and more and more, I just I'm like, just stop fighting with yourself, just let it
drive yourself crazy.
Yeah, dude, let them just let them call it, let them do it. Like, you can give them the plays and be like, hey, they'll say, what positions are the guys? Let's use flag for example. I'm like, all right, you put someone at the 2, the 3, and the 4. You know what I mean? And you need obviously a guy to snap. So put guys at that position. Pick the play that you want that gets those guys in a good position. Dude, I mean, I don't know. It's weird, because that is not my personality at all. But I see they perform better, and there's a line obviously that you got to keep them in, but you could pull them back if you're struggling. If you put the structure correctly, you could give them the leeway, and then if hey, I really don't know what to call here, or I don't really, basketball, like, maybe we should run a play here. Okay, cool. Let's, what I mean? Like, we're struggling. So again, almost getting them to ask you to give them more structure, which is just kind of my. But to me, it always screams. It all screams the run and shoot. Everything screams to me like it's a run and shoot philosophy.
You're kind of reverse. You're kind of like reverse, like breaking it down. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, you're going backwards, kind of, in everything that we knew as coaching and how we were coached and all that kind of stuff. Like, but adapting to it. right? Only a lot. If that's what's successful, then roll with it, right? Because at the end, like, you want to win games, you want to develop kids, you want to understand, and get them to a certain point. And if that's how it has to go, like, that's how you have to do it. You could be the stubborn guy that kind of just like, no, it's this way, this is how we're doing it. But then you're fighting that battle, and it's more than a battle, like on a daily basis of wear and tear, and just, you're going to break down at some point. So might as well go with what's going to work and what they respond to in a better way. Right. So I think that's part of it. It's not as dictatorship militant, do it this way because I said so type. That's just not what we're working with anymore, man. Like, it's more of a collective agree. Like, this is how we're like, how do you guys want it? How do I want it? Now, look, at the younger ages, I think, and that doesn't mean that structure goes out the window, right? Like, there's still a structured way to do it.
Parameter is a great word, right? Like,
it's
you have
the same
a schedule,
thing, Dave.
You have timelines, but within those timelines, you're like, hey,
it's like what we used to do with
pick 3 plays that you want to run here.
It's like what we used to do, Dave, when we would roll into a new program. Like, these aren't rules, they're standards, right? Like, this is the overarching thing. I'm not going to say if you're late, you're benched for a quarter, right? Like, we're putting, don't be late, right? Like, there's parameters to it because everything is individualized more so because that's just how we deal with things now. It's on a case-by-case basis, right? Like, I learned that at a real young age as a coach, right? Like, when you have rules in place, you have to now go and enforce those rules. And when things can backfire real quick, right? Like, if you're late, you're benched. Guess what? What happens if your best player's late? Now you got to bench them. Now you just hurt everybody else, right? Or whatever it is. That doesn't mean that you can't still run a tight ship. That doesn't mean that you can't still coach hard. You just have to do it in a way that the kids feel like they're a part of it, or your student athletes feel like they're a part of it. Like, I do it with my position groups always. Like, I want feedback from you guys, right? Like, if I'm saying something or I'm coaching something and you're not understanding it, all right, well then, how do I get it across to you in a way that you can understand? Oh, coach, just say it like this. Oh, okay, that works. You know what I mean? Like, I want to say it's more of like the NFL or a pro approach to it, where, you know what I'm saying? Rather than as a younger, you're just being told to it.
Like,
it's trickled down, bro.
Yeah.
Right.
Earlier.
Like, I don't need to come up with 50 million acronyms, for my professional team, because they just worry about, like, coach, get me in a better position so I can play better, so I can make money for my family and be comfortable. Right. I don't need all the rah-rah shit.
You don't need the Gruden,
grinding,
long-winded play, whatever you want to call it.
Right. Just tell me what I need to do. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's just a different approach. It's come from the top and it's trickled down. You know what I'm saying?
It's very, very interesting.
But it is interesting. I mean, you could do it, Dave. You could write you could do a doctorate dissertation paper on that. You know what I'm saying? Like, the approach to coaching and how allowing guys to kind of figure things out on their own within certain parameters is now the way to go, rather than be a dictatorship and just kind of tell them exactly what to do. You know what I mean? Like, I'd love to see the numbers on guys that collectively, allow their players to give feedback and then actually take that feedback and use it. That, I think, to me, is big.
Absolutely. I think it's huge. I think, and the success, like, it's like
and I think you have like a front row seat to it in having worked with like Troy and his group of kids, like, from the time they were little to now see how they're maturing, progressing, and kind of the direction each one of them individually is taking, but at the same time staying together collectively as a group and winning within multiple sports, right? Because it's like the same kids playing different sports across the board, and how guys, who's really good at this sport might not be so good at this sport, but still gets into a role and can still help the team be successful. Like, I think that's a really cool dynamic of where like you're seeing this giant picture of all of this stuff for these guys. Like, you have a multi-year experiment going on. You know what I mean? That you can give a lot of feedback based off of, look, this group went from here when they were this age to here at this age through all of these things, whether it's, you know, whatever sport they're playing or school or just their social aspect of it, like how they're maturing, changing, and doing all these things, and like what coaching models within things have worked. And one model for one sport might not work the same way in another sport. You know what I'm saying? Like, there has to be give and take and kind of tweaks to it. But at the end of it, like, you're getting a first row seat to kind of see all of this kind of play out as we see it happening on the bigger stage of, like, the prime example is college football of older school coaches getting out of this world now because the NIL or the transfer portal, like, that's just not their world. Like, that's not how they did it and not how they were successful. Like, it's just changing. So it's a cool kind of thing to sit back and see it, having been in it for so long, even at the high school level. For me, like, seeing where it's where it was at when I started 17 seasons ago to where it's at now, like, there are some aspects that are the same, I guess, but not many of them have not changed. You know what I mean? Like, it's a whole different world.
It's a monumentally different world. It's
throw things like social media in there. Woof.
Oh yeah, I mean it's well, social media is I think is what makes more of it relevant to do it this way, right? Like, they could go and look up whether, you know, anything you say to them, they could go look it up and be like,
they're gonna fact check
and
you.
their parents do too.
Their parents do it on a whole different level. Their uncle does it. Grandma and grandpa might do it. You know what I'm saying? Everybody's looking at, well, they did it like that. I wonder, you know, like, why? Because they could do it like, and they'll write it in the email. Hey, you should be doing this. Like, okay. It's opened up whereas most
that leave my team because they think they need to be more developed without even knowing, like, who the guy is, who their coach is.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
It's gonna be better over here. Well, how do you know that?
Like, but that is the realm that they're in. Like, yeah. It's very. I could tell you this. Like, I like adapting certain things in my style, which is fine, but I'll always feel like that there might be a kid on the team that might be able to go to a higher level if I was able to, like, push harder than I'm pushing. You know, I mean pushing isn't the word, but like, I don't know, you know, in a lot of instances whether they can handle it or not anymore. So like, I feel like, wow, if I could just kind of get in this guy's, you know, get into really,
get in his shit a little bit more.
Understand his world and what can push his buttons better.
Right. Or if I could push those buttons to the brink of, like, all right, because sometimes you have to do it just to see where their point is at. Like, at what point do they boil over? You got to know that.
There's not many people that want that push. The kid might want it, but I'm saying, like, on the exterior.
That's why, Dave, that's why I think, like, that's why I always stress having those individual tight relationships with, like, my players. And obviously it's easier for me at the high school level because you can talk to them on a right? Like, I want to know the insight into who that guy is on that level, so I know which guys need that, right? And that's where their feedback comes in the same way, right? Like, I'll have guys that are like, no, coach, you gotta, like, get in, you gotta get after it, because otherwise, like, like that's just what I need, right? Like that's how my parents are. That's how this coach was, and that's how I played well. Like that feedback from them. And now look, and in coming with that, like they have to know who they are. This is usually conversations that happen when they're juniors or seniors, right? Like as they've kind of matured and gone through it. Right.
The
The
problem is
younger
a lot
one,
of people
you
don't
just
get
got
to
to lay that out.
They see,
Right, they
I feel
bounce.
like at that point, in a lot of cases, it's good. Like they feel good most of the time, but like it's hard if you haven't been trained to dig deep when you need to. It's hard to just do it all of a sudden as a 18-year-old, I think. But I could be wrong. Like I've learned a lot. I watch kids play really well with me just guiding them. So, like
Yeah.
it's and it's weird because you're like, hi, I have an expertise that can help, and you know what I mean? Like
They're all
but
going for what's shot out on social media, buddy.
you're just well, that's where because they do have trainers now, and it may not be as needed. So I'd love to dive into that somehow at some point, but when you're around a coach, quote unquote, what is really expected versus when you're around a trainer? Because when you're around the trainer, it is specific skill set development, okay, that their coaches used to do that, okay? So what's changed is a lot more is that the trainer is now in a lot of cases with higher level kids. I'm not talking about, you probably have half your kids on a team that obviously don't go to trainers, but then you have another group that does, right? So the kids that don't, that's different. But which means the coach has to be prepared to do things like, skill wise, but there may be kids, a good amount of your kids, especially your better kids probably, that are going to a trainer, and a good amount of the individual development that used to be part of the coach's job has shifted to the trainer's job.
Yeah, that's the trainer job.
And the coach's job is almost like, if you think of, I think of outside of sports, I think about coaching in the world of mentorship, right? Like if I'm a business owner and I need coaching, I go to a guy, a business
who was
coach,
successful in a business.
right? And he says, hey, here are the parameters I did. Here are some things you may want to look at. Here are some strategies I used that helped me. He doesn't.
How can you fit it into your own world?
Right. He's not going into, okay, here's what a spreadsheet is, and here's how you run the numbers. He's not doing that. That's what a trainer does, right? So, but the business coach is going to go and say, listen, here might be opportunities in your industry. Here's how I built my business, and these are ways that you might be able to think about it. And I think
the same thing,
Dave,
when
is
we
becoming more like that.
But this is like how we are, like with the podcast. Like when we talk to guys that are coaching the same sport in a different program on the other side of the country. Hey, like you're looking to get bigger, like you're looking to get faster. Here's what we do. You know what I mean? Here are some things you might want to try, right? Oh, wait, you have a lot of multi-sport kids. Well, you're trying to get them in the weight room. Hey, here's what we do, right? Try this. Do this, like, yeah, it might work, it might not, but it's a guidance. It's not the textbook of reading the actual facts of do this and this is what's going to happen. That's not the case. That's what might happen. It could, but that's not the end all be all. Let me give you some options to go choose from, or some guidance as to keep you in this realm, right? Oh no, you're way too off on this. Come back to this, right? Like it's almost like
in basketball. In basketball, I did this purely because I just thought like I was not as knowledgeable in the individual development, but I could coach, right? I hired a guy that's great. He like works with my son, and a lot of his friends, and he trained and work individual skills and even concepts with them. Okay. And I would then be like, okay, you know,
You fit it into what your guys want to do, like what you want to do, or what your team
to make
is
sure
best
we're
at.
doing this. All right, here's what a screen. Here's what the signal for screen is. Here's what the signal for this is, and here's what defense was. But I only am involved in the last 10 minutes of practice,
Right.
even though I'm there. So, Derek, if you kind of saw this, everything you know, coaching wise, it's turned on its head, right? So.
Right.
The two coaches who coach the games are watching most of practice and basically were like, hey, stay focused, Johnny.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? He's coaching.
Yeah.
He's coach, but it's like, stay focused. Hey, you know, and then he'll be like, hey, you know, do you want me to work on some different thing, this thing or that thing? Okay, great. He works on it. And then he's like, hey, do you want the last 10 minutes? Do you want us to go through together, like, one of your play concepts, or and then we go through that together. But I could tell you this, like, you coach has to, it's good for the coach to be there because the kids know in the games this is the person working with me. So
right.
They want to see what I'm doing. Like they still want to, you know, they still want you to see that they're doing good, right? Because they know that you're be the one that's putting them in.
Exactly.
You're really a CEO, right? You're just overseeing, and then you're in, if someone's fooling around,
interjecting.
I don't want him to like have to do discipline. You know what I'm saying? Now, when you're coaching AAU, for the most part, the kids that actually are there, they want to be there. You know what I mean? So it's very different than high school where you might have
half your team's there to just be there.
You're just happy to get a letter,
which is crazy. So, I'll tell you, like, that's one of the, like, going into year 3 this year, and we're, just finished up our first full week, 6 practices in, like, there's very little of that. And it's kind of a sophomore heavy team too, where, you're dealing with that younger type of, like,
it's
guys, stop touching each other.
You're changing the culture, thought process.
But it's just so, and there hasn't been, like, the feedback, like the kids have said it, right? Like the coaches have said it, of like, ooh, like there's no more of the, like, hey, like, stop getting around, or coaches talking, pay attention. You know what I mean? Like, just the little extra shit that is always a part of it, but the lesser of it you have, you can already see, like, the better that it's going to be within the structure of everything. And that's like from a, hey, like, we told you had 3 minutes to get your cleats off and shoes on to get in the weight room, and you're doing it. Right? Like, it's not, let's go, stop screwing around. We said, let's go. You know what I mean? Like, there's none of the extra stuff that makes the coaching part of it, like, tough in terms of that. It makes you it gets you excited, because now you're looking at it like, okay, like, they want to be good. They understand what it is. They're putting all of the little immature high school nonsense shit, like, to the side for a couple of hours while we're at practice, and they're actually plugged in and engaged. And then you see them start to, like, coach each other or help each other, right? Like, when the senior is talking to the sophomore, like, hey, bro, like, you ran the wrong route, you got to do this, right? Whereas
absolutely,
normally, as the coach, like, you got to go and do that. Or maybe the senior doesn't run the right route.
A couple of classes to start to get that.
And this junior group was the first group. So they're at the stage now where they're in it. You know what I'm saying? And they've kind of set the coach. Like, the old regime is now kind of removed. And if you're still trying to be that, you're the odd man out, right? Like,
whereas in the beginning they were the majority.
They were the majority, and you know how it is. Like, they just it goes in waves, and they're just done. Like, and every group, no matter how many guys you have returning,
takes time.
It's a different team. Every year is a different group, right? The kid that you And it's hard for coaches to do this, right? And I think this is one of the things that a lot of coaches struggle with. Even when that guy becomes a senior, right? And he could now be like one of your better players on the team. Everybody still looks at him as to whatever your initial engagement with that kid was as like a sophomore or a freshman. So if he was a kid that like couldn't walk and chew gum, but now all of a sudden he's one of your better players, some guys still, until they now like double down and show that guy I can do this at this level, they still think of him as the lesser of the player when they first met him. It's like, buddy, he's not a sophomore anymore. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
Look, you know how guys may have not have started a game on varsity as a junior, and now all of a sudden they're a two-way starter as a senior and like a world beater, and you're like, what the hell happened? It's like, well, he's a senior. Something clicks. You know what I mean? Like for some of those guys, it just changes. And it's like,
Right.
hey, I'm a senior now. Oh shit. You know what I'm saying? Like I got 10 games left. What am I going to do? Right? Like, and I don't do this in a negative way, but I am constantly the guy and constantly the coach that reminds those seniors, like, you're never going to have a practice on June 25th again in your career, you know, because it ends for most of them. And when you hammer home on that, now they start to look at everything in a different light of, you're right. Like, this is what it is. And I'll tell you this, because it goes along with everything we've talked about lately, Dave, like within this whole kind of last couple months, we literally changed a segment of practice from quote unquote calling it conditioning to now it's sprinting. And they look at it in a totally different light, Dave. Like,
absolutely.
Wait, you're not killing us with gassers and you're not running us into the ground to make us puke. And this is what you got to do to get tough. No, bro. We're sprinting for 10 yards. We're doing flying 30s, right? You have a minute break in between, like all of that stuff. Game changer. Because these guys now, like you see those guys that would bag out after sprint 2, they're still in the front going full go because they know, like, I only have to do this a certain number of times and then we're done. And we've been
I tell them
sprinting
exactly
before practice. Oh yeah, like you have 5:30s. Yeah,
exactly. It's a 10. I think last week we did.
You have 6 10-yard sprints.
We did change of direction sprints.
Same thing. Like today was like, our second. We're doing it twice a week.
Yep.
And then listen, and look, hey, you're going 30 yards, then you're walking back and you have a minute break. You got 2 of them. Here we go. All right. You have 5 10s, full speed, walk back, 45-second break. You know what I mean? Like that structure. And I don't want to say you're like.
That's a good thing about high school, by the way,
dude,
because you don't have parent interference on any of that. Like,
and if they want to, but that's the part too. Like, hey, you want to know why your kid's not playing? Come to practice.
Yeah. But I'm saying, like, as far as the
the training and all that, like,
because remember, your parents are going to be older, right? So they're going to think that the kid should be beating their head against the wall. That's part of like conditioning, right?
That's part of football.
Whereas at youth, like people are like, why? And
why are you going so hard? It's almost the opposite. It's flipped.
No, well, I'm not. Why are you not? Like that's
what I mean. That's what I mean. Yeah, like you're like, no, this is the. You know what's funny is seeing the guys that do track because this is what they do. You know what I'm saying? Like it's the same type of program they use where it's, hey, we are going full go,
and then you go. Right.
You shut it down, and then we rest and we whatever. So seeing those guys kind of, you know, they almost have to justify it for their teammates of like, buddy, like coach, like you got to walk back, like
stop jogging back,
like literally be the last one. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Like they have to kind of, and it's a great segue or a great like middleman to have from the coaches. Cause here you are, like football players are so conditioned that harder is better, more is better. All of that is better. When you break it down of, hey man, like you have a minute break. that's a little longer than you would have between plays. We're trying to mimic what a game is. Hard for 7 seconds, rest. Hard for 7 seconds, rest. But it's got to be full go every time you do it. Every rep has to be as fast as you can go. As fast as you can go. Not this guy over here, not this guy over here. I don't care about if you come in last. I just care as long as you're going as fast as you can, right?
You know what I wish you I wonder if they have this thing. I guess they do maybe in college, but I had this thought the other day, and when I do my sprints, I have them spread out across the goal line, right? And we're
same deal,
right? And you jog into it or whatever we're doing, you sprint into it, however you or from a dead stop, whatever you're doing. But what I wish I had, it's just way too expensive. Obviously, no one would do this. Colleges wouldn't even do this. But ideally, you do have the what do you call it? They do have the catapults on everybody, so that's ideal. But if you just wanted to get to their times without ever having to go through the process of downloading it after and figuring out what you want to know right there, right? You really want to know there.
In real time.
If they had 10 timing gates lined up.
Phenomenal.
Right? So you have 2 rows or you have 50, 60 kids. You have 5 rows and they just 50. Go through 60. Yeah.
50.
So you just have them go through, right? And you have 10 timing gates and you're done in 5 minutes, but you're collecting the data in real time. You're like, how much better would that be? But it's so expensive to get timing gates, really, in my opinion. There's no reason in 5 years that they shouldn't be about the technology, because
get there.
To get it where it's $25 a gate or $10 a gate. You know what I mean? So every gate you need is $10. And you really just pay for the service part. I don't know, $200, $150 a month manages all your gates. But the gates themselves, the equipment, should not cost. Right now it's still the equipment cost, right? You're getting the software for nothing, and it'd be better if we paid less on the gate side. And I'd rather you charge me $99 a month. You know what I'm saying? I could turn that on and off. If I'm in season, okay, I'm paying it for 3 months, right? Or 5 months or whatever. If I'm a strength coach, I'm using it year round. But I'm paying less for the timing gate, meaning the gate is $10 a gate. And now I can go buy, 20 gates, $200, done. And I'm setting it up. And every time my kids are, for you guys, you have a coach that's just, at each thing that's just collecting it, and you have one guy in the app and they're just looking at it and go, or 1.9, 1.8, okay, these guys are getting faster. Oh, this kid who I thought was fast is really not that fast.
And you know what it's like too, right? They want to know their times.
They want to know.
Dude, it's been a battle of hey, this first week we're not formally timing it, but they know next week we're getting numbers and that we're putting that shit on the wall. And they're ready.
We need numbers.
It's anytime, dude, you're doing a broad jump or something, okay, they're going through it, but you break out that tape measure, dude, the level just, here we go. You know what I mean? Because it gets competitive. It gets whatever. It pushes them to a whole different level. It's really cool. It's a lot of that stuff that I think is, you know what I mean? They get after it. So it's been really cool. But tomorrow we have Logan Baxter, DB coach down at Dickinson College. So he'll be on to talk to us about that. Oh my God, I just see it Ray Isaac, your boy Ray Isaac. Sorry, this just popped up because he was out at Colorado and Dion called him.
Oh, Dion, yeah.
So
Dion said he's the greatest.
Dion said he's the greatest ever, right? And it's just so interesting because I've known Ray on a different level for a long time, and it's just really cool. So now like his social media is like blowing up. Like people are like posting like, oh, who is this guy that Dion called, the GOAT? You know what I'm saying? But it's awesome. But anyway, tomorrow 10 a.m. Logan Baxter. He's the defensive backs coach and special teams coordinator for Dickinson College in Pennsylvania. We'll have him on to talk some D3 ball in the PA world, and just kind of some of the things that he does special teams wise, and then defensive back stuff. You know what I'm saying? And he's trending upward as well as a young coach. So always good to get another perspective from some of those guys. They play some good football teams.
Interesting. Yeah, I look forward to that. That'll be great. Good. All right. See you tomorrow.
Oh, my bad. St. Joe's is playing on TV. They'll be on ESPN first game of the year. So
St. Joe's who?
Montvale. They're playing Chicago's Mount Carmel from Illinois.
Oh.
So they'll be on ESPN to start the season. So, okay, boys.
I had to look up Peach Jam, but it's a big deal.
I looked it up. It's in South Carolina this year, I think.
I'll tell you, this stuff is.
There's only 4, dude. There's 4, like you said. There's 4 of those tournaments leading up to it, all in the Midwest, right? Like I think it was Indianapolis, Memphis, I think maybe, and Kansas City. So it's all like and then Vegas. So it's those 4. 2 of the 4 are NCAA guys can be there, right? The other one is 17U only. So you're talking the older end of it. And then that last one, Peach Jam, is, I guess that's where it all comes together. And it's like that must be a weekend of like, holy shit, like get their autographs now. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I would love to see what that was like when guys were making the jump from high school to the NBA without college. If it was even around then. Like when that was the main thing to do was, hey, I'm good enough. I'm going to make the jump. Okay.
You're gonna make the jump.
And Tony Schiffman on Twitter or X posted Permian versus Carter from 1988, the entire game, Boobie Miles status. He posted the whole game on his Twitter feed. So
Who did?
I started watching Tony Schiffman. If you put, he's a pretty good, like,
I think it's on
posts
YouTube.
a lot of
You
stuff.
can watch on YouTube.
At Coach Schiffman, Schiffman. It's the entire game against Carter from 1988. It's 2 hours and 51 minutes of tape. It's so crazy to see, like, what you're reading the book about. And then you see Dallas Carter, who was just like freaking unbelievable. But it's really cool to see the names from the book and the movie, like, in real time. I mean, you're talking some big shoulder pads, buddy.
Oh, those are huge shoulder pads back then.
Lot of neck rolls, bro.
Yeah, no doubt. It's amazing. The
AstroTurf, you know what I mean? Like the whole works.
Yeah, like there's a Jersey guy that posts a lot of old school. I don't know how he got all the stuff.
Yeah, I saw
that.
There's been I don't know, archives. I don't know, guys just maybe might send. I'm sure now because it's getting more popular, people are just sending them really cool stuff. Like there's been some brick games on there, because obviously back in the day with Warren Wolf, like that was the staple. So there's been a couple of their games that have been on there where they've tagged some of our social media and stuff like that. Shit, I saw a Butler game on there from 1980 something playing Madison. Like one of their undefeated teams was on there. I mean, you're talking like 1980s. It's freaking wild.
That is wild. Have you ever heard of this Game Changer app?
I saw it on. Is that from the thing we just looked up? Like I just saw it on there.
Baseball. It's on the EYBL, but we use it for baseball. And
what is it? Analytics? Or is
Stats.
it?
Stats.
Oh, it's statistics.
And
Got it.
broadcasting your game. You could do all your games, okay?
Well, that's what I think Huddle's trying to get to.
You could do football too. Like they do. Oh, let me see. Actually, I see basketball. I see all other sports. Okay, so you could do in other sports. You could broadcast your games. You could do play-by-play. You could score your games live.
See, I think, and
Basketball
like I
has
said, I
everything,
think that's
baseball
what
and
like
softball.
Huddle's trying to do trying to do that so that
Oh, they
coaches
are.
don't have to do they don't have to go back and do the stats, right? Kind of like how they'll break down your game for you. You know what I'm saying? Like now they're trying to like include stats. Like they want to be the one-stop shopping for everything as well. You know what I'm saying? Like I think that's what a lot of these guys are trying to figure out. But dude, I think the Game Changer app is like backed by Dick's Sporting Goods.
It is. So I guess mostly it's used in youth, but like I didn't really because trying the first time playing in like All Stars and they used it like fully. They use it. I guess Little League All Stars uses like I guess that's the thing they all use.
Right.
And I couldn't believe it, dude. I was able to look at the game. Every person who was at bat, they had like they have a live game. You can watch the live game on video, but they also have like when you see where they have like the diamond and then who's up and who's in the field, and they had all that live feed of that. Okay, like let's say Troy's up, strike one.
Oh,
like,
damn!
Yes.
Like it's real time like that.
Real time. Okay,
that's cool.
I was coaching the game, and we were up. It wasn't that many kids, and we were up by a lot. And I was just kind of glancing at each thing, and then
awesome.
they have all the stats. So like a box score, like when you go to like a baseball game, same thing.
Yeah,
like real live box score. Okay,
awesome.
So.
Well, that allows too, like if you're not at the game physically, like grandma and grandpa can now watch the game on an app.
It does.
Like they can watch it like they're watching a professional game.
Yeah, I think that's amazing. I guess they have to. I guess any camera can connect to it, but I don't know enough about it. But I'm certainly going to look into it because like I was even thinking, like even in like how the guy in Brick does like stats for his whole flag league, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure he has someone doing it by hand, right? Like
I'm sure.
But if you had that app, you could just have a dad on the sideline with the coach,
right?
And he's just as the game's going on, putting that all in.
It's crazy
because the kids will want it. Like the kids will want it.
Crazy.
Like what's the first? Like I asked the question. I go, oh, who scored today? Like we had a lot of touchdowns. It's like who scored what? They all know. The kids all know. But like,
oh yeah,
you know what I'm saying? So the kids today more than ever, they would love to look and go, oh, I had 6 catches in the flag game for 180 yards. I mean, it's approximate. When you're tracking yardage, but unless you have the yard markers. But football games, you could. I guess that's what Huddle wants to do. You should come out of your game with like you already have the stats, not the old school like made up.
Take us time.
Yeah, you know how people would write it down. It's like I guess it was 7 yards. I guess it was 5 yards. And then the next day you would do the stats, the real stats, and
you're like, oh,
the stats you turned in to like, NJ.com was like completely different than the actual stats, because you're just you're usually guesstimating, you know what I mean? It would be like, and then you go do it, you're like, oh, wow.
I think he kind of moved. I think he had 100 yards.
Yeah,
you're like, I don't know, 100. I think he had like 15 touches for 157. Give me that.
Especially back when you played, and no doubt when I played, they were
100%.
Because my job is when I was in high school, my job for the coach was me and another guy. We would do all the stats on our team after the game, like the next day. We would watch
God
the film
bless you.
and we would do it all for him. I mean, you could get kids to do that now, but like we did
No.
it all for him, everything, right? And it would be so funny because he would like give a number, and then when we would actually do the stats, he would be like, actually, most of the time, my coach, because this is old school, would completely undersell what actually
Right.
was done. Like
You're like, oh, he had 136
like,
yards on the ground. You go back and it's like, no, dude, he had 200. And you're like,
right. There was a game I heard for like 250, and I think he
Course.
put in like
some guys are like, hey,
45,
I think he had a
like,
touchdown. It's like, no, dude, he had 3 touchdowns. The fuck are you looking at? Like,
because as a coach, you don't really, especially old school
I
guys.
think
Like,
he had like,
rushes for 200 yards. You know?
I think he had like 8 tackles. No, dude, he had 18.
Yep.
And 2 sacks. Like,
Yep. They completely. It's actually college. Back then they didn't have it good. Now they have it great. But back
college
then,
was
like
funny
I
because
would
our
come out of
guys,
the game,
dude.
I would watch the film, and I'd be like, "Yo, coach, they had me for 5 tackles. I had like 12."
Dude.
Oh, it's whenever they go off on the booth. I'm like, that's
At
complete
Montclair,
bullshit.
it's
Like,
funny you say that.
Like my senior year, I tracked it. I went all down. I had like 85, 90 tackles. I had 53. So
they would give solos and then they would give assists. So guys knew, like, this was the method. Hey, be the last one off the pile and you'll at least get a half.
If you're the first tackler,
if you're the first contact,
you might get screwed out of a tackle.
Because if you roll off first to like celebrate
who's tracking it up top.
But I'm just saying, like, you make the first tackle, right? And then let's say you just like roll off and celebrate. Like, the last 2 off are getting the halves. So you're not getting shit, even though you made the play. It was funny. I mean, look,
I got no really like true solos. Like when you take
like
it down
in
yourself.
open field, right? Like, but I hey, look, I got no complaints. You know, whether it was good, bad, or indifferent. Like, I was the second leading tackler my senior year with 73 total, like behind the leader who was 110. I don't know if that was good as a safety that I was the second leading tackler, right? But it was always just funny to look at and be like, oh, I don't know if I'm supposed to be the second leading tackler on the team, dude. Like, you know what I mean? Like, as a safety, like, I don't know if that means we're doing the right thing or not. But shit, we won a lot of games, so it worked for it. But it was always funny how it was. And I'll leave you with this. Atlantic City D lineman Javon Lane just committed to the University of Connecticut, buddy. And he's at Javon Lane, Javon from Atlantic City, D lineman, buddy. He's pretty good. He's a fucking monster. And with room to grow. I mean, he's a monster, freakazoid.
Because there was the signing day, right?
And they just made 2 big rules, right? Like, obviously, like now it's going to be 5. Yeah, dude, he's a monster. They're doing the 5 for 5 with years now, right? So that's going to kind of come to like, that's going to, and they also are now teams that are going into Division 1 do not have to wait like for that, like, probationary period to go play in like a big time bowl game or the playoffs. So like North Dakota State could now go and be in the playoffs this year because they've transitioned. So no more like have to wait, like, you know, or whatever. Like last year with JMU, it was like, oh, well, they can't get in because they're like on their probationary period of whatever. It's like, no, you can just get after it and go.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, shit, you want the best teams to play. The 5 for 5 thing changes some things.
Oh, yeah.
And like, if you're 19, it starts when you're 19 or whatever and all that kind of stuff. Like, look, okay, I get it. COVID's over, though. Like, we're done.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
We don't need 7 years.
COVID has lasted an extra 5 years.
Guys have held on to that and whatever. And look, okay, I get medicals. Like, yeah, if you can come back from a medical and do all that, like that's fine. But
Yeah.
we're good
Well,
on
it's
the
going
other
back
things.
to how it was basically, other than you got 5 years or guaranteed. Like when I was like I didn't know, because I had a medical redshirt one year. I didn't know that I could have gotten a 6th year back. Like it wasn't even communicated back then. You know what I'm saying? Like it was really encouraged to like use your 5 and get out. Like unless you really
like, well, the
had
goal was to like finish up, like, because
right,
at the end of it, like, not many of us were going to the NFL. Like,
right. That's what that changed. Yes, exactly.
but now I see it though. Like, some of these guys might never make that money again if they're making money. So stay in school, right? Like they want to stay in school making their NIL. But what I don't think they understand is that those are 1-year deals. Like just because you made whatever as a junior doesn't mean you're going to make that as a senior if you haven't produced. You can't just like be another guy on the roster and keep getting paid what you're getting paid. Or maybe you can. I don't know how that stuff works. But the goal was always to like get out of school and graduate. Like, interesting.
It is interesting. I think this change is probably will be good. We'll see if when they get sued, if anything happens from that standpoint. But otherwise, I think it's good. It ends these ridiculous over like two reclasses.
7 years, 8 years, all this kind
Our
of
kids that are
craziness.
graduating, that are going to be graduating, they're 19 in mid-September of their senior year. Well, now if you do that, you're going to lose basically a year of college football.
Yep.
You could do it.
You can, but do you want to?
But you're going to lose a year of college football, or you go.
Then it went back to the old, like, Drew Henson shit. Like, what if they come out and they go play professional baseball and then they want to come back and play football? Like, how does it, like, hey, 5. Your clock starts once you start. 5 from that. So figure out what you want to do.
Well, that's, yeah. I mean, that's. Well, that part's actually different than what it was. So you can't now go and play baseball for 2 years. That's the one thing that that's the one thing that, see, back when I was, you could still do that.
Right.
You can't do that now. That's one thing. You have to make that decision of what sport you want to do, because you basically don't have time to go back and do another. It's
like when we talked to Tony about the soccer stuff. Like, if you go overseas and bypass college and then come back and want to play college, you know what I mean? Like, all that kind of stuff goes into it. Hockey, one of my assistant coaches is in the hockey world, and he talked about that, like, ruling changing how youth hockey will be approached, because these guys go and play juniors, or they do this or they do that. Right. Like, and then they come back and try and do something else, or they want to whatever. Like, you're going to have to know exactly what you want to do and have that track and then run with it.
I forgot about those sports. That's a,
you know what I'm saying? Like, where your amateurism or whatever that shit is, like, is track and field like that?
No, track. Well, the foreigners definitely.
I think that's been a big piece too, because you're talking about basketball, international guys, right? Like, or soccer, international guys. Like, a lot of those people that don't grow up for the most part here in the States, like, they have different structures. Like, we talked about the soccer being, look, if you're owned by a club, you're literally owned by that club. They tell you what you can and can't do in terms of playing on what or in what.
Yes, that's you're not having people come from the pros anymore as often. That's not going to happen.
No.
It's Yeah, I think overall it's a good thing. I think keep.
Me too. Dude,
I
just
really
keep
think-
it for what it is, bro. Like, you know what I mean? Like, just keep it what it just you can't put the tube back, you can't put the toothpaste back in the tube, but it also can't be the Wild West. Like, we can't do this. It's just craziness. And you want to create the opportunities for the high school guys to be factors again, other than the highest of the high level, right? Like, you still want those guys to have the opportunity to go and do that.
Well, yeah, of course, because if you don't, you end up losing your you will lose those kids in sports. I mean, down the line, that's what will happen.
Right. Like, if I don't see a pathway for me to get there or do that, like, why am I going to go do that? I'll just go find something else. I'll go make real money real fast.
There's no doubt. I mean, why bother? Why bother going to college and playing if
and busting my ass for how many opportunities I might not ever get. So
it's interesting.
All good.
All right, cool, man.
All right, bro.
We'll see you tomorrow.
Mañana.
Bye.